Sorry, I just mute everyone really quick. I can unmute. Who should I unmute? All right, I've muted everyone, but you should have the opportunity to unmute. So whoever's speaking now can unmute.
All right. I was trying to unmute myself. I couldn't, but thank you for giving me permissions to unmute myself. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greeting of peace to you all. My name is Kamal Bhuyan, currently chairing the organization Bangladesh American Advocacy Group. I'm the founding general secretary of this organizations. We have begun our journey in 2010 with a group of fine people who has a mindset to make a change to the community. Ever since then, we have a visions. Our vision is to promote the minority communities, promote the voiceless, promote the community who cannot speak for themselves. Ever since then, we have been going to Albany to make a change. Many of you here, the guest, has come with us. We have requested number of assembly members and the state senators to put a bill for our benefits, to benefit the community at large, whether it's the Muslims or non-Muslims, all the minority communities for the benefit of them. We have been doing this. Alhamdulillah, we have achieved a great deal of success over the period of 10 years. We have recently passed a bill last year that became a law. It's a guard bill. It's a religious attire bill that is applicable to everybody who want to practice their religions without fear of discriminations, without fear of losing job. Respected brothers and sisters, most recently, New York State Assembly member and Senates tried to pass a bill to restrict the poultry shops in New York City. Bangladesh American Advocacy Group, along with many other organizations, we have stand against this bill because that is the right taken away from us that who love to enjoy the halal food or the live poultries from the local markets. The allegations they brought into the bill was completely baseless. We have tried to prove them that is not the owner's fault, it's the fault of the governments that they fail to follow the strict rules. So alhamdulillah, that is only few I just mentioned. Eid holidays and the statewide, halal food for the statewide for the public schools, and many others co-sponsors bills across the states. It would not be possible without your help. So I want to thank you all. Thank you, the community. Thanks the entire New York City's people who is helping us to achieve thriving our efforts, our issues. Respected brothers and sisters, come to the point is that it was not easy decisions when Bangladesh American Advocacy Group hold 2 consecutive seminars or forums, candidate forums, to decide who is the best candidate. Bangladesh American Advocacy Group focuses to unify the communities and put forth the best candidate that has a winning chance in the Council District 24. We have sat with Bangladeshi candidates, Bangladeshi background candidates of 2 times, and we have various questions. The panelists who joined was from the senators to the assembly members to the community leaders. They're the panelists who asked the questions. It was clear after the two candidate forums that it was nothing hidden, that it was clear that Moumita Ahmed is the best choice to for Council District 24. So we unanimously, Bangladesh American Advocacy in history, we have endorsed many candidates, but this is the first time all the board members, without objections, reached to conclusions to endorse Moumita Ahmed. Not just because she's from Bangladesh, not just because she is has a track records of few, but she has a track record of many. She's she's a she is a trailblazer for winning the District 24. We believe her endorsements prove it itself that she is the winning candidate. She is a candidate that represents the community, all the people, every people, for the people. Brothers and sisters, I want to thank all the people who joined today. Bangladesh American Advocacy could not be done without you. So I want to thank everyone to joining today for this event, meet and greet event um, with Bangladesh American Advocacy Group along with BAF and MFP, Muslim for Progress. Respected brothers and sisters, friends and colleagues, um, Bangladesh American Advocacy Group is so proud to endorse Moumita Ahmed for the City Council. We have worked with Moumita for years. She has come with us in Albanese. She advocated with us on Albanese. She showed what is required to advocate and what is the grassroots advocacy means. She knows that. She has built a voting power. She is a co-founder of Bangladeshi American Political Progress. She has created a voting bloc of 400,000 people. During the COVID-19, when she has started a Queens Mutual Aid Network to provide a critical funding and aid to over 2,000 people. If this is not a candidate, I don't know who would it be. During the pandemic, myself and many others were scared to go out. But here is Moumita Ahmed, along with her Muslim mutual aid. She has gone to doors to provide aids to over 2,000 families. This is such a big moment for our community, not only to elect Moumita, but getting more money for our organizations, mosque, community centers, and our neighbors as a whole. Moumita is an organizer, a proven organizers, having a proven track records, with a plan to make sure that every New Yorkers can live with justice and dignity. We believe she has the best chance of winning. Brothers and sisters, I like to once again thank you for joining us, and our choice, your choice, our moment, it is to support Moumita Ahmed for Council District 24. Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jainal Abidin. I'm the Secretary General, Bangladeshi American Advocacy Group, BAG. Today, we all know why we are here. We want to meet with our candidate and soon to be a council member, Moumita Ahmed. So our chairman explained how we came to the decision. I just want to add one point, which is Bangladeshi American Advocacy Group, BAG, is 501c4 registered organization under New York State. We endorse candidates and we have a very vigorous process before we endorse. What we do, our chairman already explained. So without further ado, I would like to introduce one of the young organizers, and you already have heard her, Bima. She's a housing activist, founder of Bangladeshi Tenants Union, and many don't know this, but she is also a single family home owner. That's great. So, and she's also representing BAF, BAFF, BAPP. She will talk on behalf of our organization. I'll request Rima to speak right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jainal Bhai, and thank you, Kamal Bhai, for leading the way so younger organizers like myself can do political work. I think it's very important to recognize that There are people who have paved the way for our realities today, which is that soon we will see, in the city council, a Bangladeshi American representing us. So BOP is a grassroots movement to create a Bangladeshi American voting bloc in New York City, to elect political candidates and to advocate for legislation that protects and advances the well-being of working class and low-income communities. We do this by educating our community about the political process, increasing electoral participation, and forming alliances with other progressive organizations, like the ones on this call today. BOP's goal is to increase political participation among Bangladeshis, create a progressive Bangladeshi voting bloc to elect progressive candidates, pass progressive legislation, educate Bangladeshis about the political process, and promote civic engagement. From alliances with membership-based Bangladeshi groups, other groups from AAPI community, African American, Latino organizations, and progressive organizations in general. We also want to form alliances with Bangladeshi-owned businesses. We know that Bangladeshi people are revolutionary people, and we know that the reality of electing a Bangladeshi American is so near and dear to our hearts. Moumita is one of the founding members of BOP, and we are proud to announce that she has received 91% of the votes from our eligible members. With election day around the corner, we plan to recruit over 50 phone bankers for Moumita's campaign to help her cross the finish line on February 2nd. I know that together we will elect the first Bangladeshi American woman into City Council. And I am so proud of what the Bangladeshi community has been able to do thus far. And one of those amazing stars is Nadia Hussain. Nadia Hussain was recently elected to the Bloomingdale, New Jersey Board of Education. She is the first person of color ever elected to office in Bloomingdale, and the first Bangladeshi woman to be elected to any board of education in New Jersey. Nadia, we'd love for you to say a few words. Welcome, Happy New Year. Great to see you here.
Thank you so much, Rima, as somebody who I have the utmost mutual respect for. And I'm always just so impressed and proud of you and so many others on this call. Thank you all for having me today. Happy New Year, Assalamu alaikum. And I am just so excited and proud to be here to support Moumita in any way I can, and to also speak a little bit about my journey as a newly elected official. I'll actually be sworn in just this week on Wednesday, so I'm very excited to get started. When people from our community, especially Bangladeshi American women and girls, too often we don't see the leadership, right, that we want to see. We can't, and I realized something about growing up in this country, that we can't wait around for the differences we want to see. It's just not going to happen. What we've seen is people like Moumita and Rima and so many others take it upon themselves to be that change, right? To actually be that leader, to not wait around. And I will say in my own community, I'm on top of being on the Board of Education, the first Bangladeshi American woman in New Jersey's history to ever be elected to a Board of Education in our state. I'm also the co-founder and a board member of the Bangladeshi American Women's Development Initiative, BAUDI. Some of you might have heard of us. We are a Bangladeshi women and girls organization here in New Jersey, the only one in New Jersey to work on connecting our community to services, to do advocacy work, and to also do organizing. There's never been an entity like that in our state, especially with our Bangladeshi community in the state. And again, what's been happening is when we see a problem, when we see that there's not representation, when we see that our community is struggling and that there's not been any kind of connection or any kind of attention paid to our issues, we've realized that we need to step up and fill that void and be that kind of leader. I will say in my own race here in Bloomingdale, my parents have never run for office. I think for them, all of this was so new, right? To really be, and I remember, I just had a baby. I have a 9-month-old running for office as a new mother too, there was a lot of challenges. And with COVID, right, there were so many challenges of how do you get your message out there? How do you organize in a totally different environment? And I will say for Moumita, what I think is just so incredible is that when there was a time of COVID, when our communities were really disproportionately facing so many challenges and losing their lives to this illness, Moumita stepped up and she stepped in by starting the efforts here in Queens. We also did a similar effort in New Jersey to do COVID relief fundraising for our community, to give food and to give rental assistance to folks in Paterson, especially in Paterson, New Jersey. Moumita did that. She stepped up. She saw a need and she said, I'm not going to wait around for help to come. Do we even know if help is going to come? I'm going to take that role and organize. And she didn't do it by herself. And I think that's what's so important here is even in her run for city council, Rima just mentioned 50 phone bankers. How do you get that? How do you get the support of these different groups? You get it by bringing everybody with you. And I think what we've seen too often in leadership, whether it be New York City, whether it be in New Jersey, whether it be nationally, is that too often our electeds and our leaders do not speak for our communities, but also do not have our communities' interests in mind and in their hearts when it comes to the decisions that they make. In New York City, similar to what we see in New Jersey, right? Rising housing costs. We see costs that make a good life unattainable for our families and our communities. And all we keep seeing is our communities being pushed aside. They're not being given the respect. They're not being given the voice to really be heard. In a place like Queens, for example, at so much of Moumita's platform, standing up against police brutality, standing up against developers, trying to really develop an economic and small business support to really help local folks, that she knows that because she lived that. Not only is she an organizer, she lived that in her own background. I lived that in my background, seeing my parents struggle with language, seeing my parents struggle with, frankly, racism growing up. I grew up all over the country, growing up facing racism, not having a place to go to when they needed that support. And I know Moumita understands that struggle, seeing how her family worked every day to give her a better life, and she wants to see that for everybody. So Moumita, know that I'm so excited to see you not just run but win and be really a historic leader that New York City has needed for a very long time. And know that I'm here to support you, that we're all here for you, and I can't wait for February to see you become the next city council member in your district.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia, and congratulations for your victory as a and also you just recently had a baby, so both you have dual congratulations. It's a challenge to have baby and to run for the office. Now, as we mentioned before, that Bangladesh
Joynel, you're muted.
We cannot hear your sound.
Janada, you are muted.
So I'm going to introduce someone like that, which is Nabila Islam, who ran as a Congress she ran very strong campaign, and she basically made a great noise entire country. We was thinking to have somebody like Ilhan Omar, the Rashida Tayeb, or AOC, Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, but she ran very strong campaign and in Congress 2020 from the state of Georgia, as you heard that they have election on January 5th, which will determine the Senate actually. She's also the founder of the Progressive List, which helps candidates raise money and build campaigns, and the national organizing director for Metric, and organizations that helps progressive working class women get elected to Congress. So as you heard, she ran to be a congresswoman, but to us, she is, and we are hoping for the best in the future. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Nabila Islam to speak. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Joynel Bai. And
She
thank
called
you
me so many times when she was running.
Say what now?
Actually, you call me so many times when you're running. This is Kamal.
Oh yeah, I remember you. Yes, thank you for answering my phone calls. I appreciate it. Well, everyone, very nice to see you again. There's many familiar faces here. I've either called you or met you in person, or talked to you over the phone and met you virtually. I'm very honored to have been asked to speak at this event for Moumita, who I think so highly of. And I just want to, tell you a little bit about myself and why I support Moumita. And again, everyone, thank you so much for, joining this fundraiser and supporting our sister in making sure that she crosses the finish line in February, and making her the first Bangladeshi woman to become a city council member in New York. Well, I ran for Congress in Georgia, and it was a very tough campaign. I ran in the 7th congressional district, and I ran for Congress because I wanted to see more representation in my community. Growing up in the South, especially in Gwinnett, which is the most diverse county in the Southeast, it's the 4th most diverse county in the entire country. It's probably very similar to District 24 in its diversity. But growing up in the South, I never saw anyone that looked like me at the table. There was a lack of representation. Everyone was either, white or Republican, despite the fact that, I grew up in a majority minority district. But thankfully now in the last 5 years, we have some more representation. We elected the first Muslim and the first Bangladeshi to our state Senate, Senator Sheikh Rahman, very proud of him. And it was something, the campaign in of itself was, it was very difficult to run for office as a young person. I was 29 when I first started, and there's difficulties to running for office, and it's harder for people like me and Moumita because of the fact that we are young, that we are women, that we're progressives, that we are Muslim women, and so that there are a lot of challenges that you have to overcome. You have to work 10 times harder, which is why I called Kamal so many times, and you have to raise money. And even when you're doing well, people will be critical of you. And so you must have thick skin while you're running for office. And there are many challenges that I faced personally. Like, I didn't have healthcare while I ran for office because I couldn't run it and run for office at the same time. Put my student loans into forbearance because so often our systems of power don't reflect people like Moumita that come from our working class backgrounds, that come from our diverse backgrounds, and it's cost prohibitive to run for office, which is why it's so important that we financially contribute anything we can to support like they can represent our communities and give us reflective representation of the diversity and the values of our community. And while I ran for office, I had some really strong supporters in my corner, and one of those people was Moumita. She picked up the phone whenever I needed help. She gave me advice. She was there for me when I needed help, and I really appreciate that. And it really meant a lot to me because prior to that, me and Moumita didn't know each other, and she, actively helped me, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I support Moumita for city council because she's someone that's going to fight for working people and immigrant families, for the Bangladeshi community. She's someone that grew up in her community. She understands the lived experiences of the people in her district. She's the byproduct of her district. And so often we miss that component when it comes to people that represent us in all levels of power. And Moumita has never shied away from a fight, which is what I love about her. She's invested in empowering people through the electoral process, which is really crucial and critical in empowering communities like ours, that are Bangladeshi communities, minority communities, communities that have been marginalized, because when our voice is not at the table, we're put on the menu. And so it's critical that we make sure that, our communities have a voice at the table. And so I'm so impressed at the past work that she's done, where she was a co-founder for Millennials for Bernie and helped create Bangladeshi Americans for Political Progress, BAP. I think I heard you guys say there's 400,000 Bangladeshis. That's an incredible number, and that is a voting bloc. And I've heard many people mention this so far during this Zoom, but it's incredible the work that she did when the pandemic first hit Queens really hard, where she helped form an all-woman-led Queens mutual aid network that was able to help over 2,000 families. Moumita is a hard worker. She's relentless in her pursuit, and she has a good heart, which is incredibly important to have. And we need Moumitas in all positions of power. And I have strong faith that, inshallah, when she becomes the next city councilwoman of District 24, she's going to bring about the transformational change that her community needs and deserves. And I will do everything that I can to make sure that we help elect her. I personally donated to her campaign. I've asked my friends to donate. So make sure that you ask your friends to see if they can pitch in something, because we got to do everything we can to make sure we help her get elected.
Thank you so much, Nabila. It's so great to see you virtually. I know we have not met in person yet, but we see all the amazing work that you're doing out in Georgia. And we know that, elections will wrap up, but the work continues, right? And just to talk a little bit about Queens Mutual Aid, since it's such a hot topic here on the fundraiser, myself and Rakshan Ali, who's a part of Queens Mutual Aid, we've had some hard times during Queens Mutual Aid. We had to hear some really sad stories. We had to hear people talk about how they were infected with COVID and didn't know if they were going to live. And still, Queens Mutual Aid stepped out. We came together even when the government failed us. And that was all due to Moumita's leadership. And we are so proud of what we've done. Nothing is ever perfect, and we don't ever say that we are perfect. But what we did is we tried to meet people where they are at. And that's the integrity that Moumita lives by, I would say, every single day. And that's why we all support her. And so next up, I'd like to introduce another champion of working class people, Assemblymember Ron Kim, who has stood by working class people since the day he was elected. He is the first Korean American elected to New York, and also the vice chair of the New York Assembly Democratic Majority Conference in Albany. Hey, Ron, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Rena. How are you? How's everyone doing?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. Happy New Year. It's good to see everyone today, and I agree with everything that Nadia and Nabila said about Moumita. She is all that and some more. I mean, she's such an impressive advocate and organizer. And let me just begin by thanking all the organizers that spoke ahead of me. We're here today because of all the uncles and aunties that have put in their time and organized and laid the foundation for us to have the privilege to run for office and try to be active. So thank you all for sacrificing so much for the next generation. The BAG is a growing advocacy organization. And it already has such a strong footprint in City Hall in Albany already. But to actually have a Bangladeshi American elected will be the turning point for not just the Bangladeshi community, but for all immigrant communities. So with that, let me just, I'll spend a couple of minutes talking about my personal journey as Nabila did, and kind of dive into a little bit of identity politics. So as some of you know, I've been in office. I just won my 5th term already, wrapped up my 8 years in the state legislature, and I will be taking on the role of a committee on aging, senior services, starting this session. So I'm very honored to take that role and focus on some of the pandemic problems around older adults and nursing homes and Medicaid, Medicare. We have a lot of work to do. But when I first got into politics, just like how other speakers have articulated, there weren't other people that looked like me, that were in positions of power. And when I was in your shoes, the only way to gain power was try to compete to fit in, right? Try to be part of the machine, be part of the establishment. And I soon realized, so I spent half of my political career just competing to try to fit in, walk like them, talk like them, and just be in the same room with them and just gain access to that table. And I soon realized that there's a big difference between fitting in and belonging in our communities. And I soon realized that there were others that started to look like me, immigrants who were getting elected, people of color, women, immigrants, minorities, but they weren't doing the job that they promised to do for our communities. You know, they were actually sometimes even worse on our minority communities because the way that they got power was such a toxic journey that they changed who they were as leaders, as public servants. By the time that they got into a position of power, they forgot that they were there to make change, to change the rules, to reform and make sure that people, every person had rights to housing, economic justice, social justice. But they soon forgot about all of that. So when I first heard of Moumita, it was actually her Twitter handle that caught my attention. You know, disruptionary. I'm like, what a beautiful word, you know, for a woman of color to proudly claim that I'm in it to be a disruptionary, to not just fit in, but to change the rules in the game so everyone can belong and everyone can have access to those rights, and we don't have to beg for it, and we don't have to be part of this predatory designed system where even if you're included, even if you're part of the diversity, you're just perpetuating a very toxic political culture. We don't want that. You know, we want, once you're elected, we want to change everything from the inside out. We want to be disruptive. And that's why I've been so drawn to Moumita when she ran for district leader last year, when she was, you know, crying when she during the ups and downs. Like, I was following her journey every step of the way, inspired, because she didn't give up. You know, she saw and exposed all the shortcomings of our political machines and power structure, and now she's stepping in at a time when all the other people are going to endorse the establishment candidates and supporting the machine. She's stepping in and she's saying, no, this is our community. We're going to take ownership and we're going to win. And we are going to win in February, because I know that because this district has changed. This district is no longer the same district it was 5 or 10 years ago. We've organized. You put in the time to knock on doors. You have the votes. Now we need to get them out. So that's why from now till February, it's important to raise the necessary money, but it's important to volunteer, make phone calls, knock on 6, 7, 8 times, as many times you can get until you can show up and get that firm handshake with the mask on. Maybe no handshake, maybe a fist, or whatever it is, to make sure that they're voting for Moumita. But I think that is the kind of hard work that will be required to win. And I'm certainly ready to make that happen with Moumita, so we can celebrate in February. So let's get this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ron, for your very beautiful speech, timely speech at this moment, that Moumita actually showed her courage when she ran as a district leader. And we all know that she almost won. She was defeated by only 50 votes. When I saw that, I called her. I said, Moumita, get ready for the next step. So we will hear from someone who's raised her actually from the scratch, from the family, one of her uncle, and he's also a freedom fighter. That Bangladesh got independent. Actually, last month we celebrate in the month of December, 16 December, the independence, our 49th independence, and he's one of the champion there. That's our brother Abdur Rahman. Without further delay, I'll introduce Moumita's uncle and freedom fighter and a community leader, brother Abdur Rahman. Please.
Oh no, Borokalu, you're muted.
আপনি unmute করেন, আপনি unmute করেন. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Crystal.
Thank you, Jainal Bhai, for your good wordings for me. Actually, you told me the right, Moumita, we raised her. But today, you know, I am tearing because I heard some good wordings from Kamal Bhai, from Jainal Bhai, from Mr. Ron, from Nabila, from Nadia. I am really, really proud of this great girl. I am really proud of, on behalf of my family. I am really proud of this girl. You know, I never attended this kind of forum before with this girl. Now, the way you addressed Kamal Bhai, her, the way Jainal Bhai, Nabila, Nadia, especially Mr. Ron, they addressed her. They certified her. I am really, on behalf of the family, proud of her. Just I would like to focus a little bit about Moumita's background. Her parents are struggling here, but he was born in a very bona fide Muslim family. His grandfather was a very high official in General Post Office of Bangladesh. His father, uncles, niece, pupus, everyone, they born and grew up in Motizil commercial area. They were, and his one of his uncle, he was the chief engineer of Bangladesh Roads and Highways, graduated from Buet. One of his uncle is the renowned eye specialist in Bangladesh. Her cousin, one is a PhD holder. Her husband is also from Buet. They are professor here. He has a very strong family here. Her maternal uncles, 5 maternal uncles, and her mother and 4 other khalas, all of them are here around in New York. All of them have very strong educational background. One of her mama Tubun, Tafia is attorney, one is medical doctor, 2 are pharmacist. She has a very strong family here. Many of them maybe know his mama, Hamid Raza Khan, pharmacist. He's a very renowned person here. At the time of the 70s, he came and he was the first person here, mobilized the Bangladeshi community here. I would like to focus on her personal qualities. This girl was born with some natural talents. You know, her father works in a pharmaceutical company. Just he's a worker there. Her mother, she works in a restaurant. But these parents, they were not able to take care of this girl that much. But she was able to get in bronze science. You know what a big competition to get into bronze science high school. She graduated from bronze science high school. Her high school diploma was from bronze science high school, just for her natural talent. She was able to get into Stony Brook University. It is a highly competitive university here. And I am the nearest neighbor of Stony Brook University. I was so fortunate that I was able to, get her in my house when she was a student here. And I saw her qualities here. She was a great organizer. We had Bangladeshi, very few Bangladeshi community here. But with that Bangladeshi community here in Stony Brook University, she organized a very big Bangladeshi community here, Bengalis Unite. And she also was involved with Bangladeshi community around here, as because he used to live in my house. She has some good friends here. Noreen, now she's a doctor, was her good friend. And she was highly involved here in Bangladeshi community activities. And we joined venture with Stony Brook University, Bangladeshi student and Bangladeshi community. We had several ceremonies here, like Bangladeshi Independence Day here in Wang Center and Student Activity Center. I would say in every month, there are several activities, several forums, workshops, symposium, different community development activities headed by this girl. I used to see her qualities. She was born with some natural qualities. I'm so proud of this girl. Now, I would like to say why all you people, you are patronizing her. I'm proud of that. But I would like to focus. Can she raise her voice for the working class people? I would say yes, because her father is a working class man. Her mother is a working class man. She knows what are the struggles among the working class people. Another thing is that last 21 years, she is living with her parents in a rental house. She knows very well how the landlords are. She knows very well what are the struggles of tenants. And I believe she has the quality and she is capable to raise her voice for the tenants against the landlords. She has that kind of personal experience through her childhood to this age. And after that, uh, Ron, you mentioned Nabila, Nadia, Kamal Bhai, John Bhai, everyone, you mentioned that. I was astonished of that. Bernie Sanders appointed this girl as her campaign manager around this neighborhood. I saw her activities at that time. What a big campaign. What a big election activities she was able to organize here. So she gained a lot of experience with Bangladeshi community, Latino community, Black community, even mainstream community. So she has diversified experience. So I would like to appreciate Kamal Bhai, Janam Bhai, because I saw your another Zoom call. At that time, I saw some other candidates. You picked Moumita. It was an impartial selection, I believe, because you focused all of her activities. She has the diversified approach and diversified research. So I would appreciate that, and I would expect that if we all together, we can mobilize our Bangladeshi community with all other immigrant communities, we will be able to send her to the city council as this city council member for the district 24. I would appreciate everyone on behalf of her family, and I thank you again, Bangladeshi American Advocacy Group, Nabila, Nadia, Kamal Bhai, Jainal Bhai, Ron, and everyone present here, and also some Bangladeshi, my friends, like from Agricultural University, Tangal Samiti. I appreciate all of them for patronizing this girl. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum.
Ji, Assalamualaikum. Dhanyawad. Next, we have Shahana Masoom. Shahana has worked with community since she was 10 years old. She always loves to work for her community no matter where she lives. For the last 28 years, she has been involved in New York, especially the South Asian community. She is also involved in civil engagement. She empowers youth and women in local politics. She plays many roles in local politics, especially where she is the lead organizer to flip New York District 11. She is also a Bernie Sanders delegate in 2020. Shahana Appa, if you can say a few words.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Wow, it's actually I supposed to introduce Moumita, but Moumita's Kalu, he took all my words for her. But anyway, I will do my best. And thank you, Rima, for introducing me. Actually, I was one of the lead organizer for flipping NY11 2018. So let me start with my personal story with about Moumita. I met her 2015 during the Bernie Sanders. Like I was kind of very close in Hillary Clinton campaign 2015 then, but I wasn't satisfied with her. I was looking for something as better comes, and I'm a Muslimah, so I make class of dua that Allah sends someone who can hear us, who can be our voice. And then suddenly one day my son came and say, "Ma, you can check out this dude. He's good. He's for And then I just listened to that dude say he's a very young man, Bernie Sanders. And when I was listening to him, it looks like, oh my God, like this is my voice. This is my community voice. This is my family voice. This is my South Asian community voice. This is my African American people voice. I mean, he was saying all these different angle of the words, and he took my all attention from that campaign. And then alhamdulillah, that's the time we were about Bangladesh American Advocacy Group. We used to go, we always go to the Albany every year, and we start talking like, hey, we get a new manager, listen up, check it out. And then we are going, learning about the Bernie Sanders a lot. And myself and my family, I should say, we were very closely working with the Bernie 2015 election, even though Staten Island, my home, was one of the Bernie's satellite office. Alhamdulillah. And one day I saw a girl and I thought she is Indian, and she's running around. And then I thought she's a Kolkata Indian. Her name is Moumita Ahmed, and a small little girl, and she's running, and I can see she's running her many shows. And she caught my my attention. I said, and I was wishing, but I'm going to say the Bangla and English. Most of the viewer today is Bangla. I say, inshallah, এরকম একটা এই মেয়েগুলো যদি আমাদের বাংলাদেশি হতো কত ভালো হতো। কলকাতা is fine, but বাংলাদেশি হলে কত ভালো হতো, And I was talking to her somehow in between this, what do you call the very,
Shanapa, you mute yourself.
Good.
I'm sorry. So Shika, and in between this, busy time, and I talked to her. She said she's from Bangladesh, and I was like, alhamdulillah, I feel so good. I feel connected, like our kid, our child. And many of you is over here, the young people, know me. Like I've been doing working with the youths, especially South Asian youths, And I used to do the youth programs, 25 years back to until, last 2 years ago. Still now I do. And my youth, one of the youth mine is Marich Baida sitting there. And we are like, that's my dream, to see our children to be flourish, and they could be in this kind of position, and they can represent us. Then, since then she was like in my mind. I have some kind of personality that when I see something, I take it, but I don't take it fully until I'm confirmed. So she was, every time I sees her somewhere, she took my positive, I become more positive about her. And then when she was running, and then the next Bernie Sanders election came this year, we get more close, and it's like she become like one of my child. I feel like many of them, she's one of them. And I saw her, the way she works is organizing people. And let me tell you one thing about the Bernie Sanders. Many people you already know about that, but I'm just going to be quote that Bernie Sanders movement is not for me, it's for us. And Bernie Sanders is the people, they work for the Bernie Sanders. It cannot be like flip-flop people. Like as usual, we see many political fields. That's why our many community people, they don't want to come up and they represent the community. They say, no, we don't want to be part of this kind of politics. But Bernie Sanders movement is totally different. And you can also see that when people, they work with the Bernie Sanders campaign, they are more focused on the community issue and the other people, like they become such a selfless personality. And I saw Moumita grown that, and more she's going older, not the older like us, more she's getting matured, and she's learning so fast. Like her Kalu just said that how she been in the school and college and everything. Mashallah, Allah gave her this talent. So I really want to, that's my personal story with her. And I'm loved to, because I was listening, I was following, and CD 24. And I was thinking I'm going to be so back down, because this city election coming, I was more going to the different one to focus, because so many Bengali is running in that area. And on the other hand, this is our ranked choice voter. So the ranked choice voter, when the ranked choice voter is going to be start next year, like this year actually, 2021, then I was going into more, and Moumita called me, say, Auntie, I want to talk to you. And I was like, see, this is her. And she was saying, Auntie, I'm doing this. And it's like, okay, go for it. Let's see. You have to organize. And I have a belief and faith on her that she can organize. And she is already the, Nabila and Nadia and Mr. Ron King talk about her achievement. She is one of the founder of the Millennium of Bernie Sanders, and also the People for Bernie Sanders. And District 24, CD District 24 is a diversity. Many languages, like Queens has most languages, I think, in United States, and the custom, culture, and the diversity. So she is one of the key points. We need to have, this is us, and also myself, I'm not going to endorse someone and support someone, even though she's from Bangladesh or he's from Bangladesh, or it's like my child, until that person is not going to be represent the entire community. The community has Latinos, African American, and so many different South Asian. It's not only South Asian like Indian, Pakistani, or Bangladeshi. There is a Nepalese, there is a Sikh community, there is a Hindu community. So whoever are going to be represent, they have to represent the entire people. Maybe we're going to be push her, inshallah, she's going to be our councilwoman. Our councilwoman, when she's going to be, Moumita going to be our councilwoman, she's going to represent everyone. Oh. So we need to have someone who can represent everyone in the community, and that's going to be we're going to be proud of her. Like, yes, our child grown up, and she is our local leaders. So Moumita is also what I see her in Bernie Sanders campaign, and then I this after 5 years, she's running for council. I think she's the perfect. I was thinking she's going to run for the Congress or next time governor, but she started from very small, which is very good, very local, very intensive. So that's very good. This is give us a very good opportunity, give her an opportunity also. We can see how she organized and how she worked for the people. And as we know, the many organizations, many individuals, and many others, they endorse her already. And Working Family Party is endorse her, and so many others. And right now, what I want you guys, whoever you are all in the this event today, I want you want you to send her in a council, in a city council and city hall, and she's going to represent us. But how? Two things we need to do for her. One is fundraising. Another one, you have to make a phone call and use your connection to the community and district CD 24 and tell them to vote for Moumita, and their number one choice should be Moumita. And that's why, make sure everybody has to memorize the votemoumita.com. You can go there. We need lots of people to make a phone calls, like connection. I already, and myself, my organization, Bangladesh American Advocacy Group, we already start the phone banking. We are using our all connection to make sure they go vote for Moumita, and this in ranking choice, she's going to be number one. And inshallah, please sign up for the voluntary work. We need lots of phone call, and already there is a good number of Bangladeshis is there. Inshallah, we can work together and make sure she's in the city hall and she's going to be represent us. The last thing, when she's going to be inshallah city hall, she's going to answer our call, and we all going to have our speed dial her phone number, and she's going to pick up inshallah. And I believe that. Thank you.
Well done.
Awesome, awesome. Now introducing Moumita, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Happy New Year. It's really exciting that we've just started with 2021, and I'm so happy that I get to start 2021 with all of you, my family members, my friends, supporters. All of you have played a significant role in getting our campaign to this point. So this success, this election belongs to you. And if we win in 2021, it will be because of people like you who love our community, who appreciate how hard working people are working during the pandemic, or are trying to survive during the pandemic, and you appreciate their struggle, you appreciate their suffering, you appreciate their tader koshto, tader je doata. You guys hear it, right? Their dua, their prayers. You all hear it. You all listen to it. You all cry with them. You all empathize with them. And some of us are, we are experiencing all of the terrible outcomes of the pandemic ourselves. So it's an honor to be in a room full of compassionate people who care about our communities and about changing the system to work for all of us, because that's what we need. We are living in a historic moment where there's a crisis of unimaginable, that something that we've never seen in the history of our modern society, right? And so in order to get out of this crisis, what we need are people who aren't willing to do more than just play the game. We need people who are gonna break the game, because people's lives are not a game. Our lives are not a game. We need people who are going to put everyday working families, the single mom who's raising their child on low minimum wage work, the parents who are driving, the father who's driving a cab, right? And are out of work right now and can't pay rent or provide for his family. The uncles, the aunties that are still going to work. Amar nijer baba she bar hoy rat noitai. So I'm gonna do a mix of Bangla and English. I'm sorry, y'all, and I'll try to do my best to translate. But my father, he goes out at work at 9 p.m., does graveyard shifts, right? Because due to that, he's going to lose 10 to 20 years of his life because he has to do a graveyard shift. And during the pandemic, and had to go out. Not only that, the person who normally drives him to work had COVID and couldn't go to work. So my dad had to actually take a bus to the Long Island Railroad, then take another bus. So this like long 2-hour commute every day just to go to work. These are the struggles of our communities, every community, whether you look at the Latino community, African American community, it doesn't matter. If you're working class, you are going through some kind of struggle. And all of us here who have spoken have experienced one way or another, or have met someone who is struggling. And as part of as Rima mentioned earlier, through the mutual aid work, we've had to hear so many stories. And it was really difficult because as you're listening to these stories, you're also absorbing the trauma that others are going through. And sometimes that in itself can make you feel helpless, depressed, right? Cynical. And it's tough. But what I love about being a part of this movement where we're trying to get money out of politics, where we're trying to elect good people and have good people like Assembly Member Ron Kim, who's here in office, right? And to hold on to more of him and elect more people like him and like others, right? That are fighting for working class people, that we are optimistic, that we are actually the realists who realize that we can't become so cynical and forget about everybody else, that we have to look to our ancestors and look to our history and look at moments where there have been struggles like this, or struggle as unimaginable as this moment, and they've survived it or they've overcome it, and what that took. And so I believe that we are heading towards a new generation of politics, of movement politics, where there are young and old and intergenerational folks like me who are truly just tired of these games that politicians play, that big corporations and billionaires play with everyday people. Even during this pandemic, for example, the pandemic profiteers made millions of dollars. Someone like Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, made $3,000 every second of 2020. 3,000 টাকা প্রত্যেকটা সেকেন্ডে সে earn করছে. This is immoral. This is not okay. There's nothing wrong with being a little rich, right? Having a nice big house, having a nice car. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong is when you are making $3,000 every second while Congress is taking forever to pass just $2,000 to give every family that's low, that are working class, struggling right now during the pandemic. So this is the conundrum that we're in. At a society where we have working people, we have politicians, we have elected officials who are bought by corporations, who are bought by real estate developers and the fossil fuel industry, billionaires, and they are prioritizing stock markets, profit, and those rich corporations instead of people like my dad, who is commuting 2 hours to go to work. at night doing a graveyard shift. Or like the families that I've met during the pandemic, the dad who has a autistic child and a wife who with disabilities that cannot work and need to pay rent and don't have and can't receive unemployment, and unemployment's not enough, or they haven't received unemployment because, you know, he's an independent contractor. And so I think that District 24 is a first for many reasons. Yes, I would love to become the first South Asian elected, and I think that representation is really important. Jehetu our Bangladeshi community, we don't have any representation, and there's so many of us in Queens and in this district in particular, and majority of us are working class. And that's going to be a first, and that's amazing. That's incredible. But what's really, really important to me is not even that. What's important to me is that a working class person who can empathize with other people, that I don't need to walk in anyone's shoes. I don't need to walk a mile on in anyone's shoes. I don't need to sympathize with anybody. I can empathize because I was directly impacted, and my friends were directly impacted by the pandemic. All of us, we know somebody who has, and we've all been a part of making sure that we can take care of one another through mutual aid work, through advocacy work, whatever it is. And so we need more people who are willing to fight, not more people who are willing to just say, just compromise, or, you know, use the word compromise as a way to really just push centrist policies or policies of passivism, of doing nothing, or just letting it be, or just, you know, putting our hands up and saying, well, I don't have jurisdiction here, or I don't have this here or that here, so I can't really do much. When I wasn't really thinking about running for city council, the reason why I decided to run was because our community members came to me and said, we want to run for office. We, as in our struggles, are still not being heard, and we need you to step up. And so I really thank all of you for helping us get to this point, because you have helped our community get to this point. You have made sure that working class folks who were struggling during the pandemic, who are still looking for a voice at the table, are able to come this far, are able to get the most endorsements out of any other candidate running, is able to build a coalition as diverse as this one, where we have the Hispanic American Voter Association, the Jewish Vote, Working Families Party, Near Communities for Change, Muslims for Progress, Bangladeshi Advocacy Group, Bangladeshi Americans for Political Progress, and so many others. The Sister Diaspora for Liberation, so many grassroots groups just coming together into a coalition to get us across the finish line. And I just want to thank all of you for that. Our campaign is not about us. It's about all of you. This is our moment to make sure that we have a city council who is going to allocate that $88 billion budget to working class people, to helping us, to making sure that we can get through the next couple of years, and make sure that people aren't risking homelessness, that they're able to send their child to school, that they're able to feed their families, that they're able to work, that they're able to actually live in the neighborhoods where they raise their kids, or they grew up in, where their community is. Our mom and pop shops who built these cultural hubs for us to like count on during important holidays, whether it's Hanukkah or Ramadan or Navratri or Diwali or whatever it is that you'll celebrate, right? Like that we are able to help those small mom and pop shops, that we are able to make sure that our small homeowners who take in our immigrant communities are able to actually pay their mortgage. Because when I first came here, it was a Bangladeshi homeowner who took me and my parents in to their home. And it's always the immigrant homeowner that gives, that maybe takes off an extra $100 or $200, right, out of from the rent to help their fellow community member. And so it's really, really important to make sure that every community has the opportunity to own a home. And that's something that I know our family aspires to. It's something that one of the reasons why I live with my parents is so that we can save up and one day own a home in this neighborhood. But because of gentrification, because of the real estate developers, the rezonings, and the developments that don't take into account working class people and what we want, the property taxes have gone up and have made it impossible for working class people like our families to be able to own a home, and those of us who managed to buy one to actually to keep it. So we need, in order to change those things, we have to elect people who understand that, who are going to work for us, not the real estate developers, and make sure that they go in there and they fight and they say, no, I want our communities to be at the table, and I want you to take into consideration what they think, what they believe, and somebody who's willing to do that, to look people with a lot of money in the face and say, I'm sorry, but you are not the community. You don't get a say over our lives just because you have money. We need to change this transactional relationship that we have in politics, where money speaks volumes. We need to instead replace that with people power. And I am so proud that this campaign is about that. All of you who are part of this campaign know that it's about making those changes, getting away from those transactional relationships, and really focusing on everyday relationships and everyday people and what we want. Bringing in things like participatory budgeting, and fighting for better transportation in this neighborhood, funding for our nonprofits that are doing the work with working class communities. So I'm really, really proud. I don't want to take any more time. Most of you have pretty much said all the things that needed to be said about our campaign and why it's so important. And I just want to say thank you all for donating as well. We did reach our goal, fundraising goal that we had for this big major deadline. So that is all because of you. So I just want to thank all of you for that. We do need to continue because, as you know, February is not the last election. There will be the February election is just a special election. So there will be an election in June. So we actually we need to continue to raise money. So please ask your friends to invest, to join our campaign, to make calls. We've been getting so many positive feedback, and I've been calling voters, and they've all been they're all on board and like our platform, like what we stand for. They know that we're not just saying whatever. We're not just saying it just for the sake of saying it, to win some kind of to make it seem like we're progressive. They know we are the real deal. And so that's really, really important. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over back to the host. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for your amazing words and just for all the support that you've given me. Thank you.
Thank you, Moumita. We are all here for you to the finish line, all of us together. Next up, I want to bring up Mahtab Khan, who was a former running mate for district leader. As you all know, Moumita ran for district leader. And so we'll like to invite up Mahtab to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Matab Khan, and I'm a volunteer for Moumita Ahmed. I also happen to be related to her. Just wanted to share that. But this past year, Moumita and I worked together as presidential delegates for Bernie Sanders. Shahana Aunty was also presidential delegate for Bernie Sanders. And in 2020, Moumita and I also ran for district leader together with our team, the New York Assembly District 24 Democratic slate. And we were both very close. In fact, Moumita was actually just about 50 votes behind her opponent. And because of everything going on, when the pandemic began, we saw Moumita drop everything and focus on helping families in need when she started the Queens Mutual Aid Network, where she was able to help thousands of families with groceries, medication, PPE. And that's because the city wasn't doing much for New Yorkers, and they could have done more, but people like Moumita helped fill that gap for our communities. And just as I did before, I support Moumita now because she's always been at the front lines of the progressive movement, fighting for our communities, not just the Bangladeshi community, but all of our communities. And I'm so proud of her, and I know that she'll continue to be a powerful fighter for all of our communities, and especially the working class and immigrant communities here in New York. As many people have already mentioned, Moumita's election is actually coming up February 2nd, and it's less than a month. That is why I'm kindly asking everyone here today to donate if you're financially able to, with the link in the chat. It's votemo.com/donate. But there should be an ActBlue link as well, which you could use to donate. I understand that a lot of us are living through this pandemic together, and it's been hard for a lot of us, but this is our one chance to elect someone like Moumita, someone who will fight for us, and your donations could make all the difference, honestly. And we could get support for mailers, ads, more buttons like the one I have. I'll just show you like here. I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, so we could get more funding for those, and even getting folks out to vote during these last weeks. Again, it's February 2nd, so please let us know in the chat if you've already donated or if you plan to, because every donation can, it counts. Every donation counts, and it can make all the difference. Even if you're unable to donate, you could still volunteer your time and join us in phone banking for Moumita and reaching out to more folks in the community. And lastly, I just want to say, this is our moment, and we cannot do this alone. So in Bangla, আমাদের সময় আসছে আর আমরা একা পারবো না, আমাদের সবাইদের help লাগবে. So ধন্যবাদ and assalamu alaikum.
Good, Madhav, good. Well said in Bengali and English.
Thank
We
you.
are about to finish our today's event. Before we finish, I'd like to introduce someone who ran for Assembly District 37, and it was really good fight. She got more than 39% vote. Without further ado, for quick introduction, our sister Mary Jubaida.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, Shubha Shandha. Oh, I'm really grateful to see all of you. Today is actually the last day of this holiday season. Tomorrow work begins, and Happy New Year to all of you. It's very difficult year we have passed, and we also do not know how the new year is gonna be. So the first day of this year was the worst day based on COVID-19 cases. So the year that inherited 2020's mess of the worldwide pandemic, and still now we are in the middle of pandemic in New York City, especially in Queens, where we have seen the drastic uprise of those cases. So we definitely need someone who will understand people, who is kind, compassionate, and who will take drastic and bold actions to make sure that just to lessen people's struggle, to make life a little bit easier for those who have been drastically affected by COVID-19 and financially during this time by economy and everywhere. Moumita is one of those people that I know personally from very close, that I can trust. All of you have said already. In fact, I don't think that I have anything else to say about Moumita. So she is someone that we can really trust, and she is someone that some of you said that we will feel proud and comfortable to say that she's one of our, who is not only the leader of Bangladeshi community, who is not only the South Asian community leader, who will be making sure each and every person in need, every vulnerable person is taken care. And that makes me very proud to say that Moumita is our leader, coincidentally a Bangladeshi Muslim leader, and who we want to see in city council. If Moumita wouldn't be a Bangladeshi, a Muslim, still I would vote for Moumita, because Moumita is that leader that we need during this time, is the need of our community. And another reason that I support Moumita is actually a little bit of tied to Bangladeshi. The ones that you all organize Bangladeshi community, you know that even especially the progressive politics, we have seen that especially in 2020, more people are aware of American politics. They're leaving home politics, Bangladeshi politics. Now they are more joining the local need, that they got to understand that it is important for us to be involved in the community where we are living. So as a result, we have seen two trends. One is like progressive politics is growing. In the meantime, also there is a rise in conservative politics as well. Those folks, they have been trying to deceive our people to make them believe that the conservative politics is better over the progressive politics. For organizers like us, like BAG, like everybody else who is using your time to make sure that the New York remains liberal and progressive, we have seen this difficult because they are convincing that our progressive politicians are not valued enough, recognized enough. For that recognition to establish, we really need someone from the progressive line to get elected to convince those folks who still have disbelief up to what we are capable to achieving. So for that reason, we really need to get someone elected, and that person in Moumita right now and in February, the earliest, to make this case heard.
Thank you, Sister Mary Zubaida. Thank you.
So I will request one more thing, like for this thing, it is not gonna happen unless you use your time and donation, please. Donate to Moumita's campaign, and please, we have only maybe less than a month, right? So in this 1 month, make sure that you phone bank during this pandemic. That is gonna be the most effective way to reach out to people and donate so that she can send enough mailers to make her campaign familiar to the voters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. At this moment, I'd like to recognize our partner, media partner, ITVUSA, Professor Muhammad Shahidullah. He just recently had an accident. Mashallah, he's okay. We communicate with him. His family is okay. I like to recognize Brother Muhammad Sabir Tahir. He's the pharmacist, first elected pharmacist, Bangladeshi pharmacist in New York City Pharmacy Organization. I like to recognize Rahmatullah Bhuyan. He's a politician as well as community activist, and on the top of that, he's one of the BAG fan. He helped us all the way. I like to recognize Brother Mir Masum Ali, Fahima Masum, and many other community organizers and community leaders, those who joined us in this event and make this event successful. I also like to thank our guest who joined from Assembly Member Ron Kim, and Nabila Islam, who joined from Georgia, and Nadia, who joined from New Jersey, and whoever watching or join in this event, make this event successful. On the top of that, on behalf of Bangladeshi American Advocacy Group and BAP, BAPP, the hosting organization, I like to thank all my board members and BAP board members for their support and their generous work, generous donation. At this moment, I will ask সকল ভাই বোনদেরকে যারা এখনো এই ক্যাম্পেইনে আপনাদের কন্ট্রিবিউশনটা দেন নাই, it does not have to be contributed, but for our own interest, we should contribute. You $25, $50, $75, $100, up to $175, it will be matched 1/8. There is not such a thing. It's not an easy thing. 1/8. If you donate $25, she will get $250. $50 will get $450, and $175 actually get more than $1,000. So please donate to votemo.com/front/bag event, or Act Blue. You can donate over there. And on the top of that, I like to recognize Muslim for Progress, this organization, and all the organization who endorse Moumita. And we, as I mentioned before, আমাদের এটা সময় যে আমরা যে মোমেন্টামটা ডিস্ট্রিক্ট 24 কাউন্সিল ডিস্ট্রিক্টে দেখতে পাচ্ছি এবার, যে আমাদের অনেক ক্যান্ডিডেট ছিল, অনেক ক্যান্ডিডেট আছেন, আমরা সবার প্রতি সম্মান রেখে বলছি, আমাদের কোনো নেগেটিভ ক্যাম্পেইনের প্রয়োজন নেই। আমরা পজিটিভ ওয়েতে আমরা বলতে এতটুকু চাই যে মমিতা যেই মোমেন্টামটা ক্যাম্পেইনে আনতে সক্ষম হয়েছে, অনেকের পক্ষে সেটি সম্ভব হয়নি। আমরা ফিল্ড ওয়ার্ক করি, আমরা ফোন ব্যাংকিং করি, ডোর নক করি, বিভিন্ন পর্যায়ে আমরা দেখেছি যে আমাদের যে ক্যান্ডিডেট মমিতা, ইনশাল্লাহ শি উইল উইন। আমি সকল বাংলাদেশি সহ 24 ডিস্ট্রিক্টে যারা যেভাবে ভোটার আছেন সবাইকে আহ্বান জানাচ্ছি যে আপনারা আপনাদের নেইবারের সাথে কথা বলেন, আপনাদের যারা ভোটার আছেন তাদের সাথে একটু কমিউনিকেট করার চেষ্টা করেন, যে কাইন্ডলি যাতে মমিতাকে ফার্স্ট চয়েস করে, যেহেতু র্যাঙ্ক চয়েস আছে। এভরি বাংলাদেশি, এভরি সাউথ এশিয়ান, এভরি ভোটার্স ফ্রম every community, they can vote. Just our appeal to everyone to make Moumita is the first choice, and you can rank your other candidate. তো আমি আর সময় নিচ্ছি না, আমরা অত্যন্ত কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি, ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি আপনারা যারা আমাদের এই ইভেন্টকে সাকসেসফুল করেছেন, ক্যান্ডিডেট থেকে শুরু করে ওনার ফ্যামিলি মেম্বার এবং যারাই আপনারা জয়েন করেছেন আপনাদের মূল্যবান সময় দিয়ে, সবার প্রতি কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি। এবং অ্যাগেইন আবার আবেদন করছি যে প্লিজ ডোনেট $25, $50, $75, $100, up to $175, it will be matched, whatever you can. At least show your participation, because if you don't show, you don't get. If you don't ask, you don't get. We are asking, please donate generously to the campaign, and on the top of that, please encourage the voters to vote and encourage others to vote for Moumita, whether it will be absentee vote or mailing vote or in-person vote. Make sure February 2nd is the special election. February 2nd, 2021 is our day. We have to make it. আমরা অনেক চ্যালেঞ্জের ভিতর দিয়ে আমরা 2020 পার করেছি, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ। তারপরেও আল্লাহ আমাদেরকে সুস্থ রেখেছেন। আমরা আমাদের কমিউনিটির অনেককে হারিয়েছি, আমরা সবাইকে শ্রদ্ধা ভরে স্মরণ করছি, তাদের আত্মার মাগফিরাত কামনা করছি। অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম 2021 আমাদের জন্য সুখ, সমৃদ্ধি এবং আমাদের ব্যক্তিগত জীবন, পারিবারিক, সামাজিক, রাষ্ট্রীয়, আন্তর্জাতিক জীবনে শান্তি বয়ে আনুক, এই আশাবাদ ব্যক্ত করে আজকের জন্য এখানেই শেষ করছি।
Rima wants to say something. I believe she raised her hand.
Yes, Rima, go ahead, please.
No, sorry, আমি just একটা reaction করছি, thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you everyone. I also want to shout out my cousin Tasnuba, who is here with the Muslim Voices Coalition from